Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and someone who's been covering Disney and Marvel and Star Wars very closely over these last few months. There's a bloodbath going on over at Lucasfilm. They're finally letting out that, yes, of course, they're canceling Kevin Feige's Star Wars project, and of course they're canceling Rogue Squadron, Patty Jenkins Star Wars project, because Star Wars is not something that just anyone gets to play with. It's not like every Star Wars film, TV show has incredible amounts of success and incredible fan interest. That's not the case. There isn't this indulgence that you can take where you can just say, oh, well, Kevin Feige's popular. Let's go ahead and let Kevin Feige go ahead and start his own little Marvel universe inside of Star Wars. Patty Jenkins, she did Wonder Woman. Well, that's a female franchise. She could do a great little female franchise project inside of Star Wars. You know, conceptually, that's fine if the content they produce was actually good, but also it works if Star Wars is healthy as a brand. But it's not. And the word is that Kathleen Kennedy is going to be out at Star Wars when Lucasfilm releases the new Indiana Jones movie, Dial of Destiny, which makes a lot of sense because for the love of God, they just need to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy already and put anyone in charge. Kevin Feige is terrible, but at least he puts movies out. Kathleen Kennedy can't even do that. There's a Variety article that covers a lot of this. Star Wars shakeup, Kevin Feige and Patty Jenkins movies shelved. Taika Waititi looking to star in his own film because, of course, who wouldn't want to star in their own film in Star Wars? I might do it. I'm thinking about it. I'm kind of working on my proposal. Let's get into this article, though. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications and give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. When John Favreau stepped onto the red carpet for the Season 3 premiere of The Mandalorian on February 28th, the Disney Plus show's creator and executive producer was feeling nostalgic. Quote, "It's been a while since we've been all together here like this," Favreau told Variety, evoking the November 2019 premiere for the launch of the show and of Disney Plus itself. It was before the first episode aired, and The Mandalorian was a tremendous asset for Disney Plus. It got people excited about Star Wars again. It just goes to show you, when people have cared about something like Star Wars, you can actually redeem yourself and do something good and do something compelling if you choose to do something good and compelling. Quote, "It's been a while since we've all been together like this," Favreau told Variety, evoking the November 29th premiere. At that time, The Mandalorian was a scrappy land speeder in the vast Star Wars galaxy, nipping at the heels of The Rise of Skywalker, the culminating feature film from director J.J. Abrams that was expected just a month later to obliterate the box office like a cinematic Death Star. Instead, The Mandalorian became a global sensation thanks to the incandescent cuteness of Baby Yoda. Everybody loved Baby Yoda. Blasting Disney Plus into light speed with 26.5 million subscribers in its first 6 weeks. The Rise of Skywalker, on the other hand, imploded in spectacular fashion. The film earned just half of the grosses of 2015 The Force Awakens, and the widespread scorn of fans and Star Wars movie development has been stuck in the bogs of Dagobah ever since. Whereas Disney Plus boasts a robust fleet of live-action Star Wars series, 3 streamed in 2022 alone, not a single Star Wars movie has received a green light, let alone gone into production. The earliest a film is scheduled to debut in theaters is December 2025, 6 years after The Rise of Skywalker. Kathleen Kennedy completely blew up the Star Wars franchise. In fairness, she never knew what to do with it, and George Lucas did put her in that position after he did the deal to sell Lucasfilm to Disney. So it's kind of George Lucas's fault, and it would have been difficult for Bob Iger to move her out of position. However, Bob Iger managed to do that with Ike Perlmutter, so why couldn't he have done it with Kathleen Kennedy? Please let me know what you think of that in the comments below. It's not for want of trying. In December 2020, Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy announced that Wonder Woman helmer Patty Jenkins would direct the next Star Wars movie, the one-off adventure Rogue Squadron. But in September 2022, Disney pulled the title from its scheduled December 2023 release. And sources with knowledge of the production say it's no longer in active development at the studio. I mean, I did a video on that when she got fired off of Wonder Woman, because basically she got fired off of Wonder Woman at the same time they pulled Rogue Squadron from her. She really kind of lost her position because basically the industry got tired of Patty Jenkins all at the same time. Apparently being a woman just kind of wasn't enough. A rep for Lucasfilm did not respond to requests for comments. In December, Jenkins said in a statement that she was still developing Rogue Squadron, but I don't know if it will happen or not. Meanwhile, Variety has learned that a possible Star Wars feature produced by Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige is also no longer in active development at Lucasfilm. Well, of course it's not. Everything at Marvel is collapsing completely. The movies aren't doing well. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is not doing well. Why would you let Kevin Feige come in and ruin a franchise that's already in trouble? When the news of Feige's involvement with a Star Wars film broke in September 2019, it churned up fan speculation, since widely debunked, that he was in line to replace Kennedy as the leader of Lucasfilm. The movie remained alive as recently as May 2022, when screenwriter Michael Waldron from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness told Variety he'd started working on a Star Wars screenplay for Feige. "I'm enjoying having the freedom on that to do something that's not necessarily a sequel or anything," Waldron said. Sure, anyone would like to play around in the Star Wars universe. You know, what's interesting is the people like us that actually care about Star Wars, that respect what Luke Skywalker was as a character and understand his impact on Western culture and civilization, and people know who Luke Skywalker was and what he overcame, and it was an inspirational story. We would never think of screwing around with the franchise. We would treat the Star Wars franchise with such reverence. None of these people think of Star Wars as something that's important. They think of Star Wars as something that they can exploit because it's really popular with a lot of people. So if I got a chance to work on something, sure, I would just like to be creative and screw around with it. It's almost like sacrilege. 5 months later, Feige hired Waldron to write the script for 2026's Avengers: Secret Wars, the Endgame style culmination of Marvel Studios' multiverse saga. Between that project and 19 other titles, and counting, that Marvel's announced for theaters and streaming in the next 4 years, Feige's responsibilities in the MCU are keeping him far, far away from Star Wars for much of the decade. As for Rian Johnson, the in-demand filmmaker has made no secret that he still wants to make the Star Wars movies he first announced in 2017, before the release of his film The Last Jedi, and Kennedy has been clear that Lucasfilm still wants him too. But Johnson's immediate priorities, continuing his Benoit Blanc movies with Daniel Craig for Netflix and season 2 of hit Peacock series Poker Face with Natasha Lyonne, will keep him occupied for the foreseeable future. There aren't going to be Rian Johnson movies, I'm sure you're happy to hear. They need to reboot the franchise for Star Wars. They are forced to do it. They don't get the freedom of saying, oh, we're just going to do woke Star Wars forever. The woke Star Wars was allowed because it was such a successful and popular and valuable franchise. So they figured, okay, we'll do our woke stuff. We'll burden the franchise with the woke stuff. It's almost like putting a tax on something that's very successful. They taxed Star Wars out of existence. So now Star Wars kind of has no value to it until they do something good. The next thing they do will probably be a Mandalorian movie that actually probably would make money if they let John Favreau do it. So what Star Wars movie could slot into that opening December 2025 release date? Sources say that Love and Thunder filmmaker Taika Waititi continues to work on his possible Star Wars feature, and he would be most likely to have a part in it as well, similar to the prominence to his standout role in an imaginary Adolf Hitler in his Oscar-winning 2019 feature Jojo Rabbit. Well, that sounds completely ridiculous. Whoever is talking about this, they can talk about it. I would not expect that to happen. You should have no stress, worry, anxiety, or concern over that happening. What's most likely to happen is someone taps John Favreau on the shoulder and says, hey, we kind of could use a Mandalorian movie. Would you do something like that for us? And at that point, Favreau would say, well, yes, I would. And he certainly would know how to do it, and it would probably be quite a good movie, and they'd actually make money. Bob Iger is under incredible pressure. Disney is under incredible pressure. There are activist investors who are guys that are after the company, looking for returns on investments they made. The stock has been hovering around $100. There's a guy named Dan Loeb who put $1 billion of his investors' money into the stock at about 120. Disney's stock is not doing all that well. It needs to go up. If it doesn't go up, Dan Loeb looks like an idiot to his investors. None of these activist investors have attacked Disney for all of their woke destruction of their franchises. But believe you me, it's coming. They are going to start making mention of it, whether it's Dan Loeb or Nelson Peltz or someone else. Vivek Ramaswamy already did, who's now a presidential candidate. He was also an investor in Disney stock who made complaints about their woke ideology and how it's damaged their franchises. It's going to come because there's too much money involved. Disney is not going to get away with this forever. Whether one of those films or some as of yet unannounced project lands at the front of the line has been a fiercely guarded secret at Lucasfilm, but sources say that the studio will begin to unveil its plans for the future of Star Wars cinema at the Star Wars Celebration Convention in London the weekend of April 7th. That announcement, however, will compete with expected updates for at least 4 Disney Plus series, including the final season of the critically acclaimed Andor, new shows from Leslie Headland, The Acolyte, and John Watts' Skeleton Crew, and the first major push for Ahsoka, a spin-off of The Mandalorian, and the animated series The Clone Wars starring Rosario Dawson that aims to debut in late summer. So for now, Lucasfilm messages to Star Wars movie fans, patience you must have. Or, patience you must have. Well, you do need to be patient if you want to see something good from Star Wars. The original trilogy was quite good. The new Disney movies have not been that good. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you expect to see any Kevin Feige movies, any Patty Jenkins movies, any Taika Waititi movies from Star Wars, or do you kind of agree with me? They've come to the end of the road of producing crappy Star Wars movies. They're going to be forced to do something decent, and it probably will be John Favreau's The Mandalorian, because that's sort of a bankable built-in franchise, and it complements Disney Plus very well. But I would really like to know what you have to say in the comments below. Always appreciate your comments. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.